So guys, I watched Madam Web today. This is a very surprise release today because I had no idea it was coming out on digital today. It just came out of nowhere all of a sudden. But yeah, I watched it on Amazon today, and I'm gonna give you guys my honest opinion about this whole thing because I was very interested to see this because I want to see how people, how bad people say it is, and it really interests me to see if it's as bad as everybody said it was. So I did watch it today, and before I start my review, I'm gonna give you guys a quick synopsis of the film first. So we follow Dakota Johnson's character, Cassandra Webb, aka Madam Webb. She's a paramedic, and all of a sudden she saw, developing these weird powers. Like she's like what you call a clairvoyant. She can see the past and the future, and she sees these three women that in the future they're gonna become Spider Women, and she sees them getting stalked by this evil Spider-Man character, which villain name is Ezekiel, who's gonna be our main antagonist in the film. He's trying to kill these women because in the future he sees that these Spider Women that are defeating him. Like I seem like a big villain for them in the future, and they end up defeating him and killing him. And he doesn't want that. He wants to stop his death from happening in the future. So that's why he's stalking these women and trying to kill them. And that's where Cassandra Webb's character comes in. She's trying to help these girls from being killed by this evil Spider-Man. So that's basically the movie. That was a whole Terminator plot. That's what's going on in the film. So is it as bad as everybody said it is? To me, I would say I would agree with them, but I did not completely hate it like everybody else did. So hear me out, guys, in this whole review. Now, okay, I'm not familiar with all these actresses. Of course, I know of them. Sydney Sweeney, I know of her. I've never seen her anything. This is my first introduction to Sydney Sweeney. I didn't think she was horrible in this film. I wouldn't say she's nobody in this movie is amazing, but she wasn't horrible. Isabel Mercer, I know her. I've seen her in multiple stuff. She's really good, and of course we're gonna see her in the DCU as Hawk Girl, and she was not that bad to me in this movie. I think she's probably one of the best things in this movie. I think the younger girls were that bad. Celeste O'Connor, I've only seen her in one film, and that's Ghostbusters Afterlife. She's in the new Ghostbusters as well. And Dakota Johnson, I've only seen her in one film. Never seen her 50 Shades of Grey films. Never had an interest. It's not my kind of movie. She was in a movie called Bad Times at Old Royale. Really good movie, guys, if you haven't seen it. Also has Chris Hemsworth in that film. But she was not that bad in that movie. I actually liked that movie a lot. The villain actor that got to play Ezekiel, I've never seen him in anything. There's other familiar faces in this movie as well, which I'll tell you about in a minute. So, I'll give you guys my honesty. Why I say it wasn't all that bad. Yes, is it a bad movie? Of course, it is really bad. But to me, I got somewhat enjoyment out of some of the stuff in here. I think when the girls get together, I mean, the dialogue I would say in this movie is not the greatest. I would say it's not the greatest. But when the girls got together, I got somewhat enjoyment. I don't think it was all that bad. Wasn't great. I didn't love it, but it wasn't all that bad. It didn't get really a laughter out of me. There was no funny parts in this film, but I didn't hate it all the way. I thought some of the acting, and it's a shame because these actresses are not that bad in other things. I mean, the ones I know about and seen, like Isabella Merced mostly. She's the only one familiar one I know in this film. But I don't think they were the worst thing in the world. I don't think they were at all. This is my honest opinion, guys. Dakota Johnson, I would say she was just okay. She wasn't the greatest at as well. Her acting was not that good. It's like it's when you watch it, it just seemed like she just didn't care. It's weird. I don't know why she was signed up for the movie like this, but if you watch the movie, even in interviews, there was this whole thing recently. It said the studios were really pissed off at her for making it. The interviews was very awkward and bad, and I guess she knew this movie was going to turn out bad by the interviews, and they didn't. They were pissed off about it. The studio was pissed off about it. I guess Sony was, and you can tell that she just didn't care for this. When she was starring in this film, because by the acting in it, she just seems like she cared. But I didn't think it was horrible. I've seen worse. Believe me, I've seen worse. And it's kind of a shame, guys, because this is a very interesting story. I think had Disney did it and introduced Spider-Man in it with the same characters, this would have been a good movie, in my opinion. They could have focused a whole Spider-Man movie about Madam Web and this evil Spider-Man character. They could have done that. Put in, I'm talking about the Tom Holland Spider-Man. Even, shoot, if they want to add in Toby and Andrew, this would have been an awesome, epic film, in my opinion. Have all the girls in it and include them other three Spider-Man, 3 with 3, and work together to fight this evil Spider-Man character. That would have been a good movie in my opinion. It's a shame they couldn't have done that. But Sony yet again is holding the rights to this, and that's why they're doing all these freaking spin-off movies, which I wish they eventually would stop in the future. Hopefully, we still got Kraven the Hunter coming out, but I hope they stop doing this because after watching this, Sony needs to give up. Just give it up, please. But the action wasn't that interesting. I didn't hate some of the action because when it gets to the stalkerish parts, like Terminator scenes, it's very interesting to watch. And I actually had somewhat fun of that. That's what's kind of a shame about this. And it's the parts where you see the future flashbacks. I mean, not flashbacks, you know what I mean. The future scenes with them in the suits. I would like to have explored that more. I really enjoyed them. They didn't look bad in the suits, in my opinion. And some of the action parts, I was like, could we have seen that? Could we really have seen that? I really would like to have seen that. The villain is nothing. It's nothing interesting with the villain at all. Ezekiel. He's just basically just an evil Spider-Man. The suit looks like Spider-Man, kind of mixed with Venom a little bit. And that's basically what it is. I mean, he's just an evil Spider-Man character. I'm not familiar with him, how he's in the comic. But yeah, and also this very unnecessary thing. I know they did this to connect it with the Spider-Man movies. But they do have Uncle Ben in it, a younger Uncle Ben, and Spider-Man's mother in it as well. She's pregnant with Peter. And they don't really say his name in the movie. We all know it's Peter Parker. I guess it's a good thing that they didn't connect us with none of the Spider-Man stuff. You know, we don't know if that's Toby or if that's Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. So that's pretty good. They didn't connect it to none of those, which I think they said they were going to do, but I'm kind of glad they did not. And there's no mid-credit scene in this movie as well. So I would say the only thing I would say I enjoy is some of the parts where they were running away from the Spider-Man dude, and action, like I said, action wasn't the greatest, but I didn't hate it all the way. Acting, yes, it was bad. Dialogue was bad, but I had somewhat enjoyment when the girls got together. And it's kind of a shame. I think this would have been a better movie because it has a very interesting story. I really do think it does because I love Terminator storyline and it had that Terminator feel to it. But I think if Disney had it incorporated the MCU, would have had all the Spider-Man characters in this fighting the Spider-Man, evil Spider-Man. You could have Madam Web in it. I mean, of course her in it, but it's still a Spider-Man film. But that would have been a better product, I think. Stop doing these spinoffs. Madam Web is not that interesting a character to do a spinoff. The only time I was introduced to Madam Web was in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. And even then, I really was confused of what's the point of her, trying to help Peter Parker in the future. So it just was not needed to have this character in a spin-off film. Sorry guys, I made this video long, but I had to really talk about this film. I really had to talk about it. I had a lot to take in with this. But yeah, like I said before, I didn't completely hate it like everybody else did, but I understand why people people dislike this film. So me, what I would give it, and this is a surprising score, because a lot of people gave this very, very, very low score. I would give it I would give it a 10, 5 out of 10. I would give it a 5 out of 10 because I did get somewhat enjoyment out of it. But I would say, yes, it is a bad movie. But what I say is the worst superhero movie. No, I wouldn't say that. I've seen maybe worse than this, I would say. Fan4Stick is definitely one. I think I would rather see this than Fan4Stick. So, yeah, that's my honest opinion, guys. I know probably won't even hear like everybody else did in this, but that's my opinion. And sorry for making such a long video, but it had a lot to take in with this. So, 5 out of 10 would be my score. So, if you want to check it out, it's on digital net, but you got to pay. I know you guys don't want to pay for this movie, but yeah, Sony, can we stop this now? And I know we got Kraven coming up. We'll see how that turns out. So, Sony, please stop this now.